UFC 292 had some crazy outcomes. Sean O'Malley knocking out Aljamain Sterling, Ian Garry not being able to finish a defenseless one-legged Neil Magny, and Chito Vera. As usual, this isn't crazy, showing no signs of damage whatsoever. Guys, I'm about to give my recap of the entire card. I'm going to talk about it. The first fight that I'm going to get to is Ian Garry and Neil Magny. Then I'll get to Chito's fight, and then I'll get to the main event once again. So let's just get into it. Check the timestamps for any particular topic you want me to cover. But Ian Garry, he had a decent win over Neil Magny. I am not upset that he couldn't finish Neil Magny necessarily. I just think that when I was looking at this fight before it actually happened, and I was looking at Magny's style to go out there and try to frustrate Ian Garry in the clinch, I was thinking, you know what? Magny's hard to put away. He's got a good chin. He can frustrate people. He doesn't really leave himself open that much. But I did not expect to see Neil Magny rendered to a guy that couldn't walk and could not defend himself. And if you were to ask me, Lucas, do you think that Ian Garry could KO a Neil Magny that's not even throwing anything back in his direction and is on no legs? Do you think he could knock that guy out? I'd be like, yeah, probably. But you know what? He'd at least go for it. He'd at least try. And this is the thing about Ian Garry's performance. He had a wounded Neil Magny in front of him. His legs were so messed up to the point to where he was butt scooting across the octagon. And you had Garry saying, get up, you know, trying to fucking curse him out and trying to patronize him and all that for his comments earlier this week. But you couldn't fucking put it on him? You couldn't put it on him, huh? You could not, for the life of you, just let your hands go up against the fence? Is that what we're really going to be? Oh, wow. What an amazing performance. No, it was not that good of a performance. It straight up wasn't. He destroyed the legs of Neil Magny. He made him look easy, but you did not make that man look like he's never fought a day in his life. And that's what Ian Garry said on the post-fight interview. He said, I made him look like he had never fought. No, you didn't. You had a man that could hardly walk. You had a guy that was not throwing a damn thing in your direction. And I see you letting a couple of punches fly every, 3 minutes? And you're just pit-patting around with your leg kicks for the majority of these rounds? I can't be the only one that had my fucking blood boiling while watching that, thinking, dude, that this guy's like down and out. He's basically sitting there waiting to get KO'd, and it's not that you didn't finish him. Again, Magny's a tough guy. He's hard to put away. He's a crafty vet, but he's sitting right there. He ain't throwing nothing in your direction. There's no danger. I understand if this is a guy with some crazy power and he can crack and he can counter you with a big shot and put you out. That's not Neil Magny. Neil Magny has these little pillow punches. Getting Neil Magny to the point to where he couldn't walk is impressive, 100%. Not letting Neil Magny tie you up is impressive, 100%. And he did shut down the grappling. And actually, Garry took Magny down at the end of this fight, which I actually thought was a really good sign. You know, obviously this guy can grapple. Obviously he can stop takedowns. There were moments in the fight where he was in a clinch with Magny and he would reach over the octagon to latch onto it. And that was a little bit dirty. But for the most part, you guys understand what I'm talking about. In many of these moments, especially in the third round or at the end of the second round, Magny's up against the fence. He's just not able to do anything. He's not able to get his feet underneath of him, to plant his feet, to throw a big shot. He's just surviving. Again, let me make this very clear. He did something that was impressive in the start of the fight, which was destroying the legs of Magny. He fought him smart. He didn't go into the clinch with him. It's easier said than done. Most fighters in the welterweight division, they end up making the mistake of just pit-patting around too much with Magny in on close range and not having an urgency to chop at his legs, to keep him at a distance. You know, O'Malley was saying all week, life or death, don't let him grab me. That's how you have to fight Neil Magny. And that's how Ian Garry fought him early, which was good. Don't let Magny grab you. But I'm just not going to act like this was that impressive. Right? Like, Garry did what he needed to do early on, avoid the clinch. He did a great job at that. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. But once Magny was rendered to a defenseless man that couldn't walk, that already has little pillow hands, that when he can't get the clinch has literally no ways to win the fight, that's pathetic. It's pathetic that you can't at least crack this dude on the chin. You can't let your hands go. You can't try to put it on him. I don't know, man. I was just a little bit frustrated while watching it. It was a little hard to watch, especially with all the antics in the cage and, you know, especially the build up to the fight where Garry was saying, I'm going to finish this guy. I'm going to really take it to him and beat his ass. Congratulations. You gave him a sore leg. Neil Magny's really going to learn his lesson with a sore leg tomorrow. You could barely fucking crack this guy. Magny has reverse brain damage after that. His brain is actually healing from the years and years of being in the UFC. That was a really good job of Ian Garry to just not put any damage above the waistline. But what an amazing leg kick decision from Ian Garry. But it is what it is, man. And what's next for Ian Garry? He called out Wonderboy Thompson. I'd love to see that fight. Personally, I think that's a really close matchup. But knowing how the game's going, Ian Garry's just going to continue to beat whoever's in his path. Let me just get this straight. Let me get this straight. I like Ian Garry. I feel like we need him as a star, but he's going to start getting annoying as fuck, bro. And I could just see this guy being like the next Izzy in regards to his personality and being cringy as fuck. And for whatever reason, none of these actual stars, I can't get behind any of them. You know what I mean? I'm rooting for Aljo. I'm rooting for Volk. And Volkanovski is just becoming a star through sheer grit and performances only and just pure skill, dude. But it's like these actual guys at the UFC is really fucking pushing hard and then tossing, more wood into the fire, into their marketing. I can't get behind these guys. I don't know what it is, but they're all fucking annoying as hell. I don't know. At least Ian Garry's got a brash personality, unlike O'Malley. At least he's boisterous. At least he's well-spoken and has charisma. I'll give him that. I'd also want to see the Jeff Neal fight, because I was going to pick Ian Garry to beat Jeff Neal, and I would still pick Ian Garry to beat Jeff Neal. But also, when we're talking about the stars, let me just say this again. I'm just going to start picking the fucking guys that the UFC's promoting as stars, because they just keep getting it done this year, man. So, yeah, let's get on to the next one. Chito Vera and Pedro Munhoz. I thought this was a really solid fight. I was pleasantly surprised with how much of a back-and-forth battle this was. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a snoozer, a tit-tat leg kick decision for Pedro Munhoz, and it started off that way, but that jab at Chito Vera basically shut that all up and put that all to bed. Because here's the thing. Yes, it was a close fight. Yes, Pedro Munhoz may have taken the first round of that. I actually had it 29-28 for Chito Vera, but ultimately it was that jab at Chito Vera that started busting up the nose of Pedro Munhoz. And even in the second and third, when the strikes were relatively close, I kept saying this to my, live stream. Everything that Chito lands, flush on the chin, you're seeing Pedro's head snap back, and you're seeing that nose get bloodied up and his face starting to get red everywhere. And you looked at the face of Chito Vera, the guy has no marks, he has no cuts, no bruises, no swelling, nothing. He's not even sweating. You're looking at the face of Pedro Munhoz. He's twitching around. He's wide-eyed. He's freaking out a little bit. And Chito Vera is just fucking chilling. It looks like the guy's on vacation. And this is why body language is so important in a fight, because, again, everything was pretty close. And, of course, the damage is what really made the difference overall. Chito Vera's punches were affecting Pedro Munhoz. He wasn't rocking him. He wasn't hurting him. And I expected that. I know Pedro Munhoz has a granite chin, but it's just the body language of Chito looked like, dude, he wasn't even fucking trying. A beautiful win. But let me just say this. Chito's next fight is going to be a whole lot harder. Do I ever see Chito getting finished? Hell no. I don't think O'Malley's going to finish him. I am going to pick O'Malley to beat him if they fight next, and I hope to God that they fight in December, because you know how the UFC will sometimes say things like, we're going to try to make that happen in December, and O'Malley's calling for it, and Chito Vera will be down. The next thing you know, the UFC fucking pushes it all the way back to March, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, which, is just going to kill their business further, because, of course, they'll be like, oh, Colby and Leon need to be on December. Oh, and then Yuri and Pereira need to be on January. Put them all on the same card, goddammit. I'm just honestly fucking pissed, bro. Straight up. I'm just in a bad mood today. I'm just straight up in a bad mood. Man. I'm not going to even bullshit, man. I'm not even going to bullshit. Put them all on the same card. Let's get some stacked ones in there. That's how you're going to cheer me up, UFC. Oh, my gosh, man. I'm still coping with these fucking fights, bro. Chito's jab looked amazing. He looked better than he ever looked before, and he was throwing more output. He was actually throwing his hands a little bit more. But that's also a testament to the fact that Pedro Munhoz is a short, stubby little midget with like little T-Rex arms that has to get it on the inside of you, especially when you're Chito Vera and you have a pretty long reach as well. He has to get it on the inside. That guy has to be in your face throughout the entirety of the fight. And when he's in leg kicking range, you can pop him with the jab. Sean O'Malley is not going to be in Chito's face at all. I think O'Malley is aware of the danger that Chito brings on the feet. He's aware that he is probably the toughest dude, the hardest dude to put away in the bantamweight division. The guy never bleeds. He's never cut. He never looks like he's in a fight. He's got some ridiculously thick skin, thick, dense bones. Someone needs to study Chito Vera in the lab because, again, bro, Pedro Munhoz was landing big shots in this fight. He was kicking Chito hard as well. Nothing, dude. Absolutely nothing. Looks like Chito had just woken up from a nap. And the power of Chito Vera is ridiculous because if that wasn't Pedro Munhoz, some of the jabs that Chito was landing flush on the nose would have fucking rocked a lot of people badly. If that was like Rob Font back in there with Chito, he would have gotten finished in that fight. You know what I mean? Most bantamweights would not be able to take just the jabs alone. So really good performance. I liked it a lot. I'm going to be rooting for Chito to destroy O'Malley, but knowing O'Malley and how much he's been able to improve over the past, 8 months since his last fight with Jan to shut down one of the best grapplers in the bantamweight division, he'll probably go out there and like ragdoll Chito Vera as well, take him down, sub him easily, or just be the first guy to knock him out of nowhere, or just bloody him up. But we'll see. I'll be rooting for Chito heavily. But anyway, let's just get on to the main event because I wanted to talk about this before some of the other lesser important fights. Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling. Again, I still haven't completely got over the fact that O'Malley just schooled Aljo, and you're going to say, what, Aljo won the first round. I don't give a fuck if Aljo won the first round with his little leg taps. At the end of the day, if Aljo's bread and butter game plan is to take O'Malley down and close the distance, and he doesn't do that in the first round, and he has his little, razor close first round, barely pit-patting around for points, just edging it out barely, first round win, that's not, oh wow, Aljo didn't get schooled. Aljo got fucking schooled, bro. He couldn't close the distance. He was scared to close the distance. And when he did actually shoot a real takedown in the second round, really committed to it, he held on for that single leg for dear life. I felt like he fucking rushed it a little bit. He rushed the grappling sequences when he had his hands on O'Malley, and he didn't rush it enough when he was out at range striking with O'Malley. You know what I mean? He was just so tentative, and I don't know. It's some fishy shit, bro. It's some fishy shit. You know what I mean? O'Malley just going from getting ragdolled by Petr Yan, fighting absolute cans that weren't grappling with him, having a broken rib, not training grappling for the last 6 weeks, and he takes out one of the scariest grapplers to ever walk the fucking face of the earth at 135 pounds. Aljo can't even get him down once. Come on, man. Like, MMA is so unpredictable, and I'm aware of that. I just wish that it made a little bit more sense. Congratulations to Sean O'Malley. I respect his skills, all right? I'm happy that we have an entertaining champion that's going to put on entertaining fights, that's going to grow the sport a little bit. I just wish that we had seen O'Malley, actually prove himself a little bit more in the grappling, and maybe he would have stuffed takedowns from Petr Yan, and it would have been one of those things to where, O'Malley's really tough to take down, and Aljo might be tentative, you might be scared to go in for it because O'Malley was cracking Yan every time Yan tried to close the distance and shoot a takedown, but that just wasn't the case, and O'Malley's massively improved. So, guys, I think in regards to these striker on grappler matchups, especially for the future, knowing that like all the next big stars, as opposed to one guy being Khamzat Chimaev, that's like the only one. I'm talking about the up and coming stars, not the champions like Makhachev. I'm just going to start going with the strikers. I feel like striking is taking over in MMA, especially the long, wiry strikers like O'Malley and Izzy and these kinds of guys. They're going to start taking over. I'm just going to start picking them. So, yeah, Merab is going to fight O'Malley sometime. I'm going to go with O'Malley by early KO. Chito's going to fight O'Malley. I'm going to go with O'Malley by like 49-46, 50-45. And Sandhagen's going to fight O'Malley. I'm going to go with an O'Malley TKO, something like that. Yeah, I don't think O'Malley's going to lose. He's the big star. He's just probably not going to lose. And that's the way the sport goes at this point. The MMA gods are finally giving the UFC what they wanted. We went through years where the outcomes that the UFC wanted weren't actually coming to fruition, but now they are. So I'm just going to start to expect that. Of course, Izzy's probably going to beat Strickland. Of course, Jones is probably going to beat Stipe. And what else do we have in December? We'll see what happens with Volkanovski. Ilia Topuria is probably a bigger star than Yair Rodriguez. So knowing how the fucking sport goes, Volkanovski's probably going to get beat by the next Spanish European star. We finally have a big Spanish European star. Fuck, bro. Shit doesn't really make a lot of sense, dude. Oh, of course, Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru Usman. Bro, Leon's not a big star. That's not a guy that the UFC was obsessed with winning. He brings in the UK market. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. This is just fucking fishy. It's some fishy shit. I'm not going to lie, bro. I just want to be 100% real. Like, this is what my channel is about. I'm not here to beat around the bush. O'Malley did really well. O'Malley is skilled as fuck. But again, the ability for fighters today, strikers that is, to just improve that rapidly out of nowhere, it's really just coming out of the woodworks. You know what I mean? They're really changing their game. I mean, a broken rib Sean O'Malley that hasn't grappled for the past 6 weeks just easily stuffs the takedowns of a big, strong Aljamain Sterling. You know what I mean? That seemed to have been cruising right through the weight cut. What the fuck? It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Congrats. All right? Congratulations to O'Malley. We have a guy that's going to bring in some headlines. And I know the UFC posted the full fight on YouTube. They posted the actual finish on Instagram. You know that they're really trying to push that guy because his personality ain't going to cut it. You know, they don't have to do that for Izzy. They don't have to do that for Conor. People are already going to tune in for that. And people are already going to click on their pages for that. But they really need to do it for O'Malley because he's a performance merchant. I'll tell you that much. Just a performance merchant. I'm playing around. We need a performance merchant. You know I was joking with that one, guys. But come on, man. They're really gunning for O'Malley to be a big popping star. And how many followers has he gained? He's gained like a couple 100K over the past 24 hours, which is good for him. He's been sitting at 2.9 million for like the last year and a half, basically. But yeah, the UFC is really pushing this guy to the fucking max, man. And it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And I was rapping to that Sean O'Malley song earlier today, bro. I was having a great time. Fuck, dude. I can't get on board. I can't get on board with the Sugar Show. I'm going to just be real, bro. I can't get on board. But, you know, I'll give him this. Entertaining, and I'm excited to see his fights. But the truth is, there was a little bit of this excitement because I knew O'Malley was breakable. I knew he was a little fragile. He could be ragdolled. And I was like, oh, O'Malley, if he gets touched, if he gets grabbed onto, he's going to get thrown. He's going to get taken down, and he's going to get beat up. Now that I don't really think that's the biggest possibility anymore, it doesn't make it as exciting because I just feel like O'Malley's just going to continue to win. And when you just expect things to happen, they're not that impressive, right? He can grapple. He can stuff takedowns from a monster like Sterling. And he can use his footwork to negate another guy with good, funky footwork on the feet. You know, that makes it tricky for people to recognize when he's about to shoot that takedown. That's extremely strong and physically imposing for that division. People were calling Aljamain Sterling a weight bully for like the past 2 years. You know what I mean? And skinny O'Malley just gets it done. Just skirts right out of it, hops around on the single leg with a broken rib like it's nothing. But okay, great. Yeah. How else was the rest of the card? Zhang Weili. Oh my. What an amazing performance from Zhang Weili. Oh my gosh. I was just crying. I was shedding tears because of how entertaining it was. But yeah, guys, 50-45. I want to see Zhang Weili fight Yan Xiaonan, to be honest. I really do. Yan Xiaonan, that's the fight I want in China. I want to see Zhang Weili fight someone that she's not just going to go out there and ragdoll on the ground. I feel like we've seen a lot of these champions midway through the run start to resort to grappling, or guys, you know, midway through their career start to resort to grappling, and that's what Zhang Weili is doing at this point. I think Yan Xiaonan, she gives me the kind of energy of someone that can stuff a couple of takedowns and bang it out on the feet. And I want to see that. And Yan Xiaonan has some wicked power. You remember she just KO'd Jessica Andrade, so I'd love to see that fight next. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really love watching Zhang Weili's fight last night. I honestly thought it was pretty boring after the first round. I was just talking to the chat a little bit. Dominant performance, but it was just one-way traffic, and I knew that there wasn't going to be a finish coming from it. So it was one of those times where, we already see what's going on. Zhang Weili's going to dominate this fight, but she don't have the power to end it. And Lemos has just good enough submission defense to be able to fend off those as well. And then what else do we have? Andre Petroski, Gerald Meerschaert, the GOAT, came back big time, slugging it out, having a close fight with Andre Petroski. And I just have to say, Andre Petroski got fraud checked because, listen, every time they went to the ground, GM3 and Andre Petroski, Meerschaert would get right back up. He would reverse the position. There were moments where GM3 would get on top of Petroski and start beating him up. Like in the third round, he beat him up a little bit. And on the feet, it was damn near even. It was damn near close. And Petroski getting that knockdown in the second round saved him big time when it came to the decision. Of course, that's the only thing that he had going for him in the last 2 rounds was that one little knockdown, and he just barely edged out the first round. But because GM3 kind of has it in his style to just survive early and just wade through the storm, and he's never really going to go out there and shock anyone in the first round, he's usually going to lose that round and ultimately lost the fight. But Petroski can't finish an old man GM3, or just can't even hurt him and can't even make it clear. I don't know. And I picked Petroski to get it done. I picked him to get it done, but I didn't think it was going to be that close. And I thought that he was going to be able to impose his will a little bit more in the grappling. But honestly, I think Gerald Meerschaert got the better of the grappling exchanges. And then we had the tough fight between Brad Katona and Cody Gibson, which was honestly one of the best fights I've seen of the entire year. That was a pleasant surprise as well. I thought that it was going to be a little bit of a boring fight because Brad Katona, is a guy that's going to shoot takedowns, usually go for the control, position over submission, but they slugged it out for 3 rounds. Honestly, loved watching every single second of that. Both guys deserve contracts. I hope Dana White gave Cody Gibson a contract as well because he 100% deserves it. But overall, guys, the card was pretty good. Mario Batista getting it done just barely over Damon Blackshear. I got 6 picks correct. I got 2 picks wrong. So overall, I did pretty well on this card. It's just the main event is the one that I got wrong. Am I missing any fights? Oh yeah, Chris Weidman and Brad Tavares. Weidman showing a really gritty performance in the second round against Brad Tavares, but ultimately he just wasn't able to make anything happen. People were getting on Brad Tavares for not finishing Weidman. Like, here's the thing, man. Weidman wasn't in a position like Neil Magny. Weidman was actually throwing leather. He was actually closing the distance. When he would get in on close of him and Brad Tavares, when he was in close range, he was cracking Brad Tavares with big shots. I believe he dropped Brad Tavares with a flash knockdown at one point in the second round. So there was some heat coming in the direction of Brad Tavares, in which he had to be careful with. And for that reason, he wanted to stay at range a little bit. He wanted to poke with the leg kicks and go with the body kicks. And ultimately, I thought it was a good performance. That takedown defense from Brad Tavares is insane. There's a lot of guys that we talk about having great takedown defense where it honestly just seems to be a little bit of a myth, right? Like Conor McGregor, people talk about Conor's takedown defense and how he stuffed the takedown from Khabib, but then Khabib literally took him down 10 seconds later in the same fucking sequence. And the narrative is Conor's got good takedown defense. But Brad Tavares is out here showing it, stuffing like 20 takedowns from Chris Weidman. Either way, it was a good fight. I'm happy that Weidman didn't get finished. But yeah, the card was good. It was entertaining. Just disappointed with the main event. I'm not over the moon about O'Malley winning, but I'm sure that a lot of you guys are. So let me know what you thought about the card, and let me know how you did. Again, I went 6-2 for picks, and we have the Max Holloway and Korean Zombie fight coming up, which I don't even know if I can say I'm excited for it, because I think Max Holloway is about to absolutely destroy this man, and I am very confident in that. I don't care about the Lucas Tracy curse when I talk about that fight. We'll see how powerful the Lucas Tracy curse is when it comes to the Korean Zombie and Max Holloway. Until next time. It's summer, and that gives you no rhyme or reason to run around here looking like Sean O'Malley. And I understand, it's fun to fit through door cracks sometimes, but why not build the actual strength to just open the door? So if you're actually trying to pack on some mass, and if you're a beginner and you're looking like O'Malley, you could check out my novice lifting program. I've personally designed these programs to help you guys put on as much muscle as possible without hitting plateaus. So check it out, guys. If you're interested, use code MMA for 30% off. The link is in my description.